in the year 1928, where we see an injured man being helped by Murphy, who considers him a son. The injured man says that Murphy put them in this situation, so he must get them out of it as he doesn't have much time left. He soon grabs a flask containing a liquid to drink. 17 years later, in 1945, a military vehicle arrives at a facility in the middle of the forest with two soldiers. They get out of the car to unload some boxes, and one of them asks his companion, who is lying down, for help, but he doesn't respond. The senior soldier approaches him to wake him up, but discovers that the man is dead, with severe scratches on his face. The soldier and his companion hear howls from a wolf, and fearing a potential attack from the animal, they quickly arm themselves. The two hear heavy footsteps coming from the forest, so they look around. Suddenly, a werewolf creature surprises them, emerging from the darkness, and mercilessly attacks one of them. The gunfire doesn't injure the beast at all, and unfortunately, the other soldier is brutally killed. The scene shifts to London, where a man named Richter sits at a table in a bar and orders a drink, using an old coin as payment. The owner, named Murphy, approaches him to question him, saying that this bar is the best in the city and that payment is not acceptable. Murphy continues to question him, but Richter does not respond, leaving the bar owner quite stressed. Murphy asks the man if the coat is his, but he responds fearfully, saying yes, although his voice comes out a bit rough, almost like a growl. Murphy asks him to stand up, and he complies, but his body acts strangely. Richter is something more than he seems, and as he moves quickly, he tries to attack Murphy, but Murphy counters and injures his opponent's forehead. Murphy tells his assistants to throw out the unexpected guest, and so they try to do, fighting against Richter, who shows superhuman abilities. The men are no match for him, as he scares them with his roar and quick fighting movements. He is a human beast, a vampire able to move swiftly, with sharp claws and canine fangs capable of injuring his opponent. When he is about to kill one of Murphy's men, Murphy points a gun at him and makes him stop. Suddenly, another man arrives, and without paying attention to the beast in front of him, he sits at the table. Richter recognizes him as a holy man of God, but does not fear him, claiming he knew his father, and warns that the Reverend should be careful with him. The Reverend, a friend of Murphy, is named Dwayne, and being very cautious, he does not let his guard down, and when Richter attempts to attack him, Dwayne strikes with a sword, stabbing it into the belly of the human aberration. This does not kill Richter, who thanks to a vampire's power does not die easily like a human, but the stab wounds him enough for Dwayne to interrogate him. Richter says that no one sent him there, but the Reverend pulls out his fangs before letting him go. Soon after, two soldiers arrive to talk to the Reverend and are surprised to learn that Dwayne easily defeated the intruding vampire and now has possession of his canine fangs. The soldiers propose a mission to the considered hunter and investigator of the supernatural, Dwayne. However, even though the Reverend does not trust them, he agrees to listen. Samuel says they have lost contact with the military outpost on Coda Island and need a capable man to deal with something that the soldiers don't usually believe exists. Samuel tells him to accompany a group of soldiers who will recover something for him that is in the island's forest, while he will have the mission of dealing with the supernatural on the island. Samuel emphasizes that Dwayne's father disappeared in that area and can help him obtain information about his whereabouts when he completes the mission. In the soldier's backpack, there is a folder with the name Yamashita, which leaves his friends curious. Samuel states that soldiers have disappeared without explanation, and the regional Imperial soldiers may be responsible, so a group will go with Dwayne. Samuel affirms that they will have 2 days to re-establish contact. Otherwise, they will deduce that they are dead. Dwayne questions the soldier about the fact that the soldiers could be heading for a possible slaughter, but Samuel shows no compassion for them. Dwayne then talks to his friend Murphy and questions what happened. They are worried about the recent attacks uncovered, since this should not be happening. Murphy then hands him some weapons, preparing him for combat. Later, on the plane heading to the island, there are several soldiers along with Dwayne. On Coda Island, the native people prepare a young woman named Hirani for a ritual, but her face shows she is not very happy. Meanwhile, a man who seems to be the leader of the place watches her. Inside the plane with Dwayne are 7 more soldiers. They are Billy, Foley, Sykes, Jack, Rico, and 2 more women, Eklund and Torque. They question why the Reverend is on the mission, since he is just a priest, but he states that he has come to give the last prayer they will hear before they die. Such words leave the group speechless. Meanwhile, on the island, Sonia tries to hide, but is soon captured and forced to participate in the ritual. Suddenly, a large creature approaches her, a strong werewolf beast. They make her exhale a smoke that comes from the beast's mouth, causing her body to contort. Inside the plane, Foley asks the real reason the Reverend is there with them, and he reveals nothing of the truth, perhaps because they would not believe him if he told. The red lights come on, alerting that it is time to jump. The group prepares and soon jumps. Minutes later, they are on solid ground, but unfortunately Sykes was unable to deploy his parachute and fell onto a trap, being impaled in the chest. The group continues, and after walking a bit, they arrive at a house filled with people. The group splits to cover the perimeter and end up seeing an alliance between the Imperial soldiers and the tribe's leader. After the leaders leave, Dwayne's group begins the attack and starts discreetly killing the soldiers, but there comes a moment when they are discovered and are forced to fight with everything they have, including grenades and even hand-to-hand fighting with swords, where Torque shows agility with the blade. Dwayne goes to an enemy military tent and finds many things that seem to belong to the Allied army. Meanwhile, at the location where Sykes's body is, the beast passes by and takes him for itself. At dawn, the group continues its mission, and after walking a little, they find a village, and the villagers do not mind their presence there. The soldiers look for Americans, but the villagers do not understand them. Hirani, the woman who fled earlier, is present. She approaches them and speaks English, saying that the soldiers taught her. Foley asks where they are, since they came to the island 2 weeks ago, and after a few days, did not return contact with base. She says that she can help them get to where there is a military camp, but states that everyone is already dead. Hirani takes them to an area with some huts, and as they pass by, the woman tells the story of her people. She reports that they have been there for hundreds of years, but part of the history was lost. She recounts a man cursed by the shaman who was exiled for his macabre behavior of eating human entrails, and they say he was the first of her people. The group arrives at the location where the attack occurred and observes the massacre, and the scene of dismembered men leaves the soldiers in shock. They begin to check the area, and inside the facility, there are more soldiers who were brutally killed. Meanwhile, in the bar, the vampire Richter returns and goes into the office to look for something precious. What he seeks is a box containing small vials of potions. Unfortunately for him, Murphy surprises him and wounds him in the chest with a shot and with a stake. Richter wants one of the potions because it helps to quench his thirst for blood since he only feeds on rats. Murphy questions whether the vampire knows what Yamashita means, and Richter tells about the gold the Japanese general hid on the island in wooden boxes, which the soldiers just found. It soon becomes clear that the military's mission was a rescue mission for the enemy's gold. Murphy is about to kill Richter, but the vampire says they are fast and can get the gold for them. All they have to do is join forces to achieve it. Murphy does not agree and forces the vampire into the daylight, where he burns his body, falls to the ground, and begins to burn to death. The scene shifts to a day when Murphy was with Dwayne's father, who handed him a potion, saying it would delay the transformation. The man had an illness, and if he did not receive the potion, he would die quickly. However, that would not change his future, but would give him enough time to go far away, and Murphy promises to take care of his son. Murphy cries as his friend departs, knowing he will never see him again. While Dwayne searches for something in a shed, Hirani stops